never forget the moment I arrived at the company anniversary celebration, eager to celebrate a decade of hard work and dedication. As I stepped into the grand hall, sparkles of excitement mingled with an undercurrent of tension, a feeling I couldn't quite shake. I had been proud of my role in building this company from the ground up, yet today, a dark cloud shadowed my joy. I felt it, like a weight pressing against my chest. What I couldn't know was that this evening would change the course of my life forever. "Emily, you made it!" My colleague Sarah greeted me with her usual enthusiasm, her eyes shining. I forced a smile, pushing aside troubling thoughts. "Wouldn't miss it for the world," I replied, though the unease lingered in the pit of my stomach. As the night wore on, I watched as my coworkers mingled, laughing, celebrating their achievements. Yet no one seemed to notice the absence of my name from the award list displayed on the grand stage. My heart raced when Tom, our CEO, called out the winners. And for outstanding contribution, we have Lauren Barber and Mark Thompson. The round of applause rang in my ears, but I felt hollow inside. My heart sank further when I realized they were flanked by my own husband, Mark. I had always believed in loyalty, in the sanctity of family and marriage. But in that moment, it felt as though a chasm opened between us. Did they truly forget me? Or was there something more sinister brewing beneath the surface? My thoughts raced, fear intertwining with disbelief. After the awards, I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal as I made my way to the restroom. Leaning against the cool sink, I splashed water on my face, attempting to calm the storm inside me. That's when I overheard a quiet conversation just outside the door. "Mark, I don't know how much longer we can keep this up. Emily is getting suspicious," Lauren whispered, her tone laced with tension. "I'll handle it. Just keep playing your part. No one can find out." I froze, heart pounding. I felt a surge of betrayal wash over me. How long had they been together? How could he lie so easily? I stepped away from the door, my world spinning, as the pieces fell into place. I had always believed Lauren was a friend, someone I could trust. But now, I felt like I was trapped in a game I wasn't even aware I was playing. Gathering myself, I exited the restroom and made my way back to the celebrations. The laughter around me felt foreign, like a cruel joke. I needed to take control back. My mind raced with thoughts of what to do next. I couldn't confront Mark yet. I needed proof, something tangible to hold on to. The next morning, I started planning. The following Tuesday, I approached Mrs. Caldwell, my elderly neighbor, who often kept a watchful eye on the apartment complex. "Have you noticed anything strange?" I asked, my voice steady. "Oh, I see that girl every Tuesday," she replied, her brow furrowed. "The one who looks like a deer caught in the headlights. She comes in here often, doesn't she?" "Do you know her name?" I pressed, my heart racing. "Lauren, I think," she said, a hint of concern clouding her features. I thanked her and hurried back to my apartment, determination fueling my strides. I got online, researching hidden cameras, and soon ordered one to install in my living room. Days later, I sat in silence, waiting for Lauren to arrive. The camera blinked red, recording as I paced nervously in my living room. Finally, the door clicked open, and there she was, Lauren. I watched through my phone as she stepped inside, glancing around as if making sure no one was watching. "What are you doing here?" I whispered to myself, trembling with anxiety. She moved quickly, slipping an envelope into my closet. Suddenly, anger surged within me, powerful and righteous. I felt betrayed, not just by Mark, but by someone I had invited into my life. I couldn't let her walk away with my dignity, my trust, my happiness. That evening, I pored over the footage, replaying the moment she entered my home over and over. The emotion was raw, the hurt palpable. I needed to confront Mark. I wasn't about to let this go. "Mark, we need to talk," I said, when he returned that night. His eyes widened, caught off guard by my tone. "Is everything okay?" he asked, but I could see the flicker of worry in his gaze. "No, everything is not okay. We both know it isn't. Have you been seeing Lauren?" I asked, my heart pounding. The look on his face told me everything I needed to know. As the silence stretched between us, I knew this was only the beginning of a confrontation that would unravel everything I thought I knew. I could feel my strength growing, ready to fight for my truth. I would reclaim my life and expose the lies that had been hidden in the shadows for far too long. The ink on my name tag had barely dried when I overheard the laughter and excitement echoing from the other side of the banquet hall. I forced a smile as I nodded at my coworkers, but my mind was elsewhere. I had looked at the award list a dozen times, but each time my name was still missing. It stung deeper than I could have imagined. "Emily!" Mark's voice snapped me out of my thoughts. He approached me, beaming, with a trophy gleaming in his hands. "Can you believe it? They finally recognized my work on the Campbell project." "Congratulations, Mark," I replied, my voice strained. I wanted to be happy for him, but the emptiness in my chest tugged at my heart. "Where's your award?" he asked, tilting his head slightly, a hint of concern flickering in his eyes. I shook my head, forcing my mouth into a smile that felt foreign. "I guess I wasn't on the list this year," I said. I tried to laugh it off, but the tension was palpable. "It's okay. There's always next year." Mark's demeanor shifted slightly. "I wouldn't worry too much about it. There are always surprises at these events." He dismissed my disappointment with a wave of his hand. I watched as he turned back to his colleagues, basking in the attention, and felt myself shrink into the background. I picked up my drink, letting the cool glass ground me. Then, a familiar figure caught my eye. Lauren, standing nearby, her laugh too bright, too sharp. As the night wore on, I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was very wrong. When I got home later that night, I sat in the dim light of my living room, staring at my phone. The shadows danced around me, and so did anxiety. Lauren had always been the perfect little housewife, and I had trusted her. The nagging suspicion grew into a sharp itch, one I couldn't ignore anymore. Mrs. Caldwell's words echoed in my head about mysterious visits every Tuesday. I shivered at the thought, but pushed it aside. I had to know for sure, so I decided to take a leap into the unknown. The next day, I called Emily to ask for a favor. "Can you help me with something?" I said, my voice steady. "Of course. What's going on?" she asked, sounding concerned. "I need a little help with a hidden camera. I need to know what's happening when I'm not home," I confessed. "Are you sure about this? It sounds intrusive." Emily hesitated, but I could hear her curiosity peaking. "Please, just trust me on this," I insisted. "I need to see what's really going on." 2 days later, Emily and I set up the camera in a discreet corner of my living room, out of sight, but perfectly positioned to capture everything. My heart raced as I imagined what I might find. Each tick of the clock felt like a countdown to revelation. That Tuesday, I sat in my car outside my home, hands trembling on the steering wheel, waiting for the moment I would see Lauren enter my sanctuary. And when the time finally came, I thought I might scream. There she was, nonchalant, stepping through my door as if she owned the place. I leaned closer to the screen, my heart hammering against my ribcage as I watched her slip an envelope into my cabinet. "What the hell?" The words escaped my lips in a whisper, laced with disbelief. My breath caught as I replayed the footage. I didn't need to see the envelope to know it contained something damaging. Betrayal dripped from each frame like poison. I felt my stomach twist. This wasn't just a simple misunderstanding. My hands shook as I grabbed my phone, calling Mark as soon as I met his eyes at dinner that night. "Mark, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady, although every part of me screamed with anger. "Can't this wait? I just got home." His voice was casual, as if he hadn't just shattered my world hours prior. "No, it can't. I know about Lauren." The room went cold, the air thick with tension. His expression shifted. "What do you mean?" "I saw her in our house. I saw her put something in the cabinet," I declared. The words tasted bitter. Emily, you're imagining things, he replied too quickly, his face hardening. There has to be a rational explanation. Oh, really? What is it then? I challenged, folding my arms. I don't know. Maybe she was grabbing something to lend you. You've been stressed lately. You can't just go accusing her. Accusing her? I laughed, though it felt hollow. You don't get to play innocent here, Mark. Stop protecting her. Stop it, Emily. You're being paranoid. You think you know everything, but you don't. He shot back, voice rising, revealing his true colors. It was as if he was pulling the strings, and I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. I'm done playing your game, I declared. I'm done being the fool. As I exited the room, my heart raced with the knowledge that I wouldn't let him control me any longer. I would not be his pawn. The next day, I sat down and penned an email to myself, documenting everything I had discovered, including the damning video evidence. I had to gather my thoughts and prepare for the confrontation that lay ahead. I felt a surge of clarity and determination. It was time to reclaim my life, to take control of my destiny. The weak girl I used to be was fading, and in her place was a woman ready to fight. The next morning, an unfamiliar heaviness filled my chest as I sat at the kitchen table, my usual coffee in hand, staring blankly out the window. The birds chirped outside, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in my life. I had always prided myself on my ability to read people, but this time my instincts had failed me. I glanced at the clock. It was nearly 10. Mark had already left for work, and Lauren would undoubtedly follow him soon. I needed to act fast. The hidden camera was my first line of defense, but now I needed more than just evidence. I needed clarity. After clearing away my empty mug, I grabbed my phone and scrolled to my messages, hesitating before dialing my best friend, Sarah. I needed someone who knew me, someone who could guide me through the confusion. "Hey, Em, what's up?" Her voice was bright and cheerful as always. "Can we talk?" The words felt heavy on my tongue. "I need to tell you something." "Of course, I'll be right over." Within 30 minutes, Sarah burst through the door, her auburn hair bouncing with every step. "All right, spill it. You sound serious." I exhaled, pulling up the chair across from me. "I think Mark is having an affair," I whispered, feeling the weight of the admission settle around us. "What? Are you sure?" She leaned in, her expression shifting from playful to concerned. "I set up a camera. I caught Lauren coming into our house last night." I quickly recounted the events, the sickening revelation of their conversation still raw in my mind. "Wow," Sarah said, crossing her arms tightly against her chest. "What do you want to do?" "I need to confront him," I said, my voice stronger than I felt. "I can't keep living like this, feeling like I'm in the dark." Sarah nodded slowly, processing my words. "That's a good step, but be careful, Em. Emotions will run high." "I know." After our conversation, I felt emboldened, but still anxious. The thought of confronting Mark made my stomach twist. The day dragged on, and I passed the hours researching ways to protect myself legally. I changed the locks, ensuring both Mark and Lauren wouldn't easily breach my sanctuary. The following morning, I received an email notification from Mark's account. My heart raced as I opened it, half expecting it to be an apology or an explanation. Instead, it was a series of emails exchanged between Mark and Lauren, each one more damning than the last. The cold sting of betrayal washed over me as I read their words. "I can't wait to see you again," Lauren had typed, with a string of heart emojis accompanying the message. I slammed my laptop shut, fury welling up inside me. This was it. I had all the evidence I needed. I picked up my phone, my fingers trembling as I dialed Mark's number. "Emily?" His voice was buoyant, as if nothing had changed since last night. "Can we talk?" My voice was steady, though my heart raced. "Now? I'm at work." "Now," I insisted. Silence. "Fine, I'll be home in 30. 30 minutes felt like a lifetime. When he finally walked through the door, he wore his usual business attire, a crisp shirt and neatly pressed pants. But the well-groomed facade did little to mask the turmoil beneath. "What's this about?" he asked, a hint of annoyance creeping into his tone. "Sit down," I said, gesturing toward the couch. He slumped into the seat, crossing his arms defensively. "What's going on?" I took a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. "I know about you and Lauren." He scoffed. "What are you talking about?" "The emails, Mark. The recordings. You think I wouldn't find out?" He shifted uncomfortably, his gaze flitting around the room as if searching for an escape. "You're being paranoid, Emily." "Paranoid would be thinking I'm imagining this. But I have proof," I shot back, my emotions rising. He leaned back, his expression hardening. "If you think you can intimidate me with those childish tactics—" "Childish?" I interrupted, my voice rising. "You think what you've done is mature, lying to my face and sneaking around with my best friend?" His silence screamed louder than any admission of guilt. "Emily," he finally said, attempting to soften his tone, "I didn't mean for it to happen like this. But it did, and now I need to protect myself." The confrontation spiraled into chaotic exchanges, each accusation met with more denials and empty apologies. The emotions were raw, and soon the tears began to flow, taking with them years of trust and love. After what felt like an eternity, I rose from the couch, my resolve firm. "I'm going to file for divorce, Mark. I won't let you manipulate me any longer." His shocked expression nearly broke my heart, but I couldn't look back. I needed freedom, I needed strength. The battle was just beginning, but I would fight, not just for myself, but also for every woman who felt trapped and betrayed. I would rise, and I would reclaim my life. As I stood in my kitchen, the air thick with tension, I felt the weight of my decision pressing heavily on my chest. The black and white footage from the hidden camera played on my phone once more, a hard reminder of betrayal. The image of Lauren slipping into my home, her every movement deliberate as she placed the envelope in my cabinet, was something I couldn't shake off. I had trusted them both, but now that trust lay in ruins. "Emily, are you ready?" Mark's voice broke through my thoughts, rough and demanding. I had asked him to come over to talk, but I wasn't sure if it was a good idea. The confrontation loomed like a dark cloud over me. "I'm here," I called back, keeping my voice steady. My heart raced, knowing I had to confront him about everything. The lies, the betrayal, the way he had turned my life upside down without a second thought. He entered the kitchen, his expression unreadable. "What's going on? You sound different." "Different?" I echoed, forcing a laugh that felt hollow. "How about hurt or betrayed? You know, the usual feelings that come when you find out your husband has been cheating?" Mark's face fell. "Emily, don't, Mark. Just don't." I took a deep breath, knowing I needed to stick to my plan. I saw the footage. I know about Lauren. I know about the envelope. He shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what I should think. Because right now, all I see is deceit. One of my best friends entering my home to betray me?" The anger bubbled, ready to spill over, but I had to remain in control. Mark took a step closer. "Lauren and it was a mistake. It didn't mean anything." "Didn't mean anything?" I scoffed. "You think that justifies it? You think I'll just brush it off because you say it was a mistake? You've shattered everything, Mark." "Let's talk about this rationally," he suggested, his tone shifting as if he thought he could return my world to normalcy with logic. "Rationally?" I echoed, incredulous. "Do you even hear yourself? There's nothing rational about betrayal. You've lost my trust. You've lost everything." He ran a frustrated hand through his hair, revealing the cracks in his calm facade. "What do you want me to say? I messed up, and I'm sorry. I'm committed to fixing this." "Fixing what?" I asked, my voice rising. "Fixing you? Fixing us? You think you can just apologize and everything will go back to normal? It doesn't work that way, Mark." "Emily, please," he pleaded, stepping forward again. "I still love you. And that's what makes this worse." I stared at him, feeling my resolve strengthen. "How could you say that after what you've done? Love doesn't betray." Silence hung between us, thick and suffocating. I glanced at the clock, knowing I had to keep moving forward. I couldn't let this moment eat away at me. Not anymore. Emily, Mark started, but I cut him off. No more excuses. I've made my decision. I could see the realization dawn on his face, and for a moment I felt a twinge of sympathy. But sympathy had no place for the pain I felt. Are you really going to do this? His voice shook, a mix of disbelief and desperation. Yes, I am. I crossed my arms, feeling a surge of power. I'll file for divorce. I won't let you manipulate me any longer. Divorce? It was as if I had slapped him. Yes, divorce, I confirmed, my voice steady. I deserve better than this. I deserve to reclaim my life. Emily, think about what you're saying. We can work through this, he insisted, his voice rising to a near panic. How can I trust you again? I shot back, my heart racing. How can I believe anything you say after this? He opened his mouth to protest, but then closed it, the fight draining from him. The defiance faded, and a deep sadness replaced it, making my chest tighten. I had never wanted this, but I couldn't let my heart lead me back into a trap. Maybe you should talk to Lauren, I suggested, my voice softer now. Lauren? She's not worth fighting for, he muttered weakly, but I saw the flicker of guilt in his eyes. Is that right? Then why did you? I took a step back, my chest rising and falling rapidly. I won't let you put the blame on someone else. This is between us, and I refuse to let you drag me down any longer. Another silence fell, heavy with the weight of unspoken truths. I could feel the strength within me growing, fueling my determination. Emily, I'll do anything, he stammered, desperation creeping in. No, Mark, it's too late for that. My heart pounded, each beat echoing my resolve. I'm taking control, and you need to accept it. With that, I turned my back on him, fully aware of the new chapter I was about to write for myself. The pain was still there, but now it felt like an old wound that would slowly heal. I would rebuild. I wouldn't be alone in this journey. There were other women out there, survivors just like me, and together, we would rise again. As I sat in my small kitchen, the sun streamed through the window, illuminating the remnants of a life I thought I knew. My fingers traced the edge of the countertop, feeling the coolness of the marble as I remembered the warmth it once held during Sunday breakfasts with Mark. Now, it felt cold and distant, and yet there was no way I could allow the weight of betrayal to crush me further. The day of the court hearing arrived. I stood before the mirror, running a brush through my hair, trying to steady my nerves. This was it. I was ready to reclaim my life, to fight for my future. I had expected fear to seize me, a sense of dread at the thought of facing both Mark and Lauren again. Instead, I felt a surprising calmness wash over me. It was as if I had finally stepped into the power I had long kept hidden within me. When I entered the courtroom, my heart raced, but I stood tall. I could feel the weight of everyone's eyes on me, but it didn't matter. I wasn't there to hide. I was ready to unveil the truth. I took a deep breath as I approached the plaintiff's seat, glancing briefly at Mark. He wore his usual expression, a mask of indifference that I knew too well. But I could see the flicker of anxiety behind his eyes. Emily, the judge called, pulling me from my thoughts. You may proceed. I nodded, gathering my thoughts as I began to speak. Your Honor, I stand here today not only to seek a divorce, but to expose the truth. My husband, Mark, has violated the trust of our marriage with my closest friend, Lauren. I have evidence. As I spoke, I could see Mark shifting uncomfortably in his seat. I didn't miss the slight twitch of his mouth when I named Lauren. The truth hung in the air like smoke, thick and suffocating. I felt empowered as I shared the details, the hidden camera footage, the emails, the lies that twisted my reality. I laid each piece of evidence bare, and with every word, I felt lighter. Mark's lawyer attempted to undermine my claims, painting me as the irrational wife. Isn't it possible, Emily, that you are simply misinterpreting the situation? He asked, a smirk on his lips. No, I said firmly, my voice unwavering. The truth cannot be misinterpreted. I chose to confront the situation head on, unlike Mark and Lauren, who chose deceit. The tension in the room crackled, and I could feel eyes shifting toward Mark. I could see that my words were starting to chip away at his facade. I had spent too long locked in his shadow, questioning my worth. Now, here I was, shining a light on the truth. After presenting my evidence, I felt a surge of confidence. I finally turned my attention towards Mark and Lauren, who sat side by side at the table, their expressions tense. I couldn't help but feel a moment of satisfaction. They had always thought they could manipulate me, but today, I was the one in control. Mark, I began, my tone steady and fierce. You sought to break my spirit, to shatter our family. But I won't allow that. I know my worth now. I deserve love and loyalty, and I won't settle for anything less. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. I could see the shift in his demeanor. The confidence he had exuded before, now replaced with uncertainty. It felt glorious. As the hearing continued, I stayed focused, undeterred by the tension that filled the room. I took my time, ensuring every detail was heard, every lie exposed. Then, something unexpected happened. Lauren stood up, attempting to speak. "Emily, please, I never meant to hurt you," she started, her voice shaky. "Then why did you?" I shot back, feeling the sting of betrayal again. "You turned your back on our friendship for a moment of weakness. A real friend wouldn't have done that." "Actually, Emily," the judge interrupted, "this isn't the time for personal apologies. Let's stick to the matter at hand." I wanted to scream, to unleash the torrent of emotions that had been pent up inside me. But I knew I had to stay composed. The judge finally issued a ruling in my favor. The court finds in favor of the plaintiff. The divorce will be finalized, and all custody arrangements will be in Emily's hands. Silence filled the room as I absorbed the weight of those words. I felt a wave of relief wash over me. But it was more than that. It was liberation. As I stepped out of the courtroom, my heart was racing, not with fear, but with excitement. I had stood my ground, and in doing so, I had reclaimed my power. This was my turning point. I would take this new chapter and turn it into something beautiful. With each step I took, I felt stronger. I had faced my demons and emerged victorious. I would help other women, guide them to find their own strength, and remind them they are never alone. No one deserves to be silenced, especially not by those who profess to love them. As I left the building, I knew my journey had just begun. As I stepped out of the courthouse, the weight of the past few months slowly lifted off my shoulders. The sun shined brightly, casting a warm glow on the sidewalk. I took a deep inhaling the fresh air as a sense of liberation washed over me. But deep down, I knew my journey didn't end here. This victory was merely the beginning. "Emily!" I turned to see Sarah, my best friend, rushing toward me with a big smile. Her presence immediately brought lightness to my heart. "I can't believe you did it! You stood up for yourself!" "Thanks, Sarah," I said, my voice shaking slightly with emotion. "I still can't believe it happened. I thought they'd somehow pull a fast one on me." She wrapped her arms around me in a tight hug. "You're stronger than you know. Let's celebrate. You deserve it." I hesitated for a moment. "I don't know. I just want to go home. Maybe take a long bath and forget everything for a little while." Sarah pulled back and looked at me with concern. "You need to process this, not hide from it. Come on, let's grab a drink. Just one, and then we can talk about what's next for you." I looked into her hopeful eyes and relented. "All right, one drink." Later, seated at a small bar, I felt a sense of normalcy returning. The chatter around us blended into a comforting hum. Sarah ordered us both a glass of wine, and when it arrived, she raised her glass. "To new beginnings." "To new beginnings," I echoed, clinking my glass against hers. As the wine warmed me from the inside, I reflected on the journey that had led me here. The betrayal, the pain, it all felt like a distant memory now, overshadowed by the courage I'd found within myself. "So, what's next?" Sarah asked, her eyes dancing with excitement. "Now that you're free, what do you want to do?" "I want to help others," I said, my resolve solidifying. I know there are so many women out there who feel trapped and scared. If I can show them they're not alone, maybe they can find their strength too. Sarah nodded vigorously. "That's a beautiful idea. You could start a support group or even blog about your experiences." I considered it. Sharing my story could empower others, but would I be ready to revisit the pain? "I think I need to heal a bit more first," I admitted, "but it's definitely something I want to explore." "Then let's brainstorm," she said, scribbling on a napkin. "You could do community events, workshops on self-love, resilience. I can help." Just then, my phone buzzed, breaking into our conversation. It was a message from an unknown number. "You did well today, Emily, but remember, the truth can be twisted. Stay alert." I frowned and looked up at Sarah. This isn't good. Someone just texted me, warning me about the truth being twisted. What does that even mean? "Could it be Mark or Lauren?" she asked carefully. "Maybe," I said, feeling that familiar knot tighten in my stomach. Mark's been desperate to salvage his image. I wouldn't put it past him to try something sneaky. "Are you worried?" she asked, genuinely concerned. "No," I replied, trying to sound braver than I felt. "I can handle this. I fought too hard to let them intimidate me now." That night, as I lay in bed, the message weighed heavily on my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that this battle wasn't over. I had won the court case, but lingering shadows threatened my newfound freedom. The next day, I decided to change my locks. I needed to create a physical barrier, as much for peace of mind as for security. At the hardware store, I gathered my supplies, the scent of fresh wood and metal filling the air. "First time changin' locks?" the clerk asked, his friendly smile easing my tension. "Yep, just moved into a new place," I lied, knowing the truth would only complicate things. "Don't worry, it's pretty straightforward. Just follow these steps and you'll be fine," he said, handing me a small guide. I returned home armed with tools and determination. As I worked on the door, I thought about how far I'd come. I was no longer the woman who let betrayal define her. I was reclaiming my space and my life. After securing the new locks, I felt a renewed sense of strength. No longer would I let anyone have power over me. The door symbolized my resolve, a barrier against the manipulations and lies. That evening, I received another text, this time from Sarah. "Let's meet tomorrow. I have a plan." I smiled, my heart racing with anticipation. For the first time in months, I felt hopeful. I was ready to embrace the future, to channel my pain into purpose. After all, there were many women who needed to see that resilience could emerge from the ashes of betrayal, and I was determined to be their guiding light. The morning after the court hearing, I took a deep breath as sunlight streamed through the kitchen window. It kissed my skin like a warm reminder that I was alive, that I was free. But even as I savored that moment, a cold shiver ran down my spine at the thought of Mark's last words before the hearing. "Emily, you don't know what you're doing," he had said, his voice thick with condescension. "You'll regret this." But I didn't feel regret. I felt determination. I wasn't going to let him manipulate me any longer. I poured myself a cup of coffee and sat at the table, staring at the walls that had witnessed so much pain. But today, they would bear witness to my strength. After I finished my coffee, I pulled out my laptop and began to research local women's shelters and support groups. I knew I wanted to help other women who had faced betrayal, just like I had. I penned down some notes, trying to formulate a plan, when the phone rang. "Hey, Em, it's Molly." My friend's cheerful voice broke through the morning silence. Molly had been with me through thick and thin, always reminding me of my worth. "Hi, just getting some work done here," I replied, forcing a smile even though I could hear the hint of worry in my own voice. "I heard about the hearing. You did it, Emily. You stood up for yourself," she exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious.
I did, but it feels weird. There's so much to process, I admitted, feeling the weight of it all press down on me again. And now Mark is, well, he's still lurking. Let him lurk. He doesn't control you anymore, she said firmly. Have you thought about what's next? I hesitated. I want to help other women who might be going through this, but I don't know how to start. There's a local support group that meets on Thursdays. You could go and share your story. You'd be surprised how many women need to hear it, she suggested. I considered this. Sharing my story could be powerful, not just for them, but for me. I'll think about it, I finally said. After our conversation, I couldn't shake the feeling of urgency. I needed to take action, not just for my own healing, but to help create a safe space for others. That evening, armed with a stack of pamphlets I had printed out about the shelter and support group, I decided to take a leap. Mom? My son, Ryan, peered into the room, sensing the shift in my energy. Are you okay? I smiled at him, feeling a warmth spreading my heart. I'm more than okay, buddy. Things are changing, and they're going to be good. Can I help? He asked, always eager to lend a hand. Of course. Can you help me make some flyers for the support group? I motioned to the materials spread across the table. He grinned. I think I can do that. Together, we spent the evening designing colorful flyers filled with hope instead of sadness. As he cut the paper into neat rectangles, I explained what our goals were. We want other women to know they're not alone. They can be strong, too. Ryan paused, looking thoughtful. Like superheroes? Exactly like superheroes, I said, impressed by his insight. And sometimes we need to help each other find that strength. The next day, I gathered my courage and attended the support group. Walking into the meeting room felt like stepping into a new world, a world where silence spoke volumes and shared experiences held profound power. I sat among women of various ages, each with a story etched on their faces. We began by introducing ourselves, and when my turn came, I took a deep breath. I'm Emily, I started, my voice shaking slightly but gaining strength as I spoke. I just went through a divorce after discovering my husband's affair. It felt like my world was crumbling, but I realized that I'm not alone. I want to help others reclaim their lives, just like I'm trying to. As I spoke, I could see heads nodding, the warmth of understanding lighting up the room. After the meeting, several women approached me, eager to share their own stories, each one echoing a thread of shared pain and resilience. Your strength inspired me, one woman, named Rachel, said. I thought I was the only one who felt this way. Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes. You're not alone, Rachel. We're all fighting our own battles, but together we can be stronger. As I left the community center, I felt a sense of purpose blooming inside me. I wasn't just healing, I was becoming a beacon for others. Empowerment didn't come from the absence of pain. It emerged from rising after we fell, from joining hands with those who had faced the same darkness. This was just the beginning. I'd keep sharing my story, keep reaching out, and keep fighting for the women who felt lost. Mark's betrayal had shattered my world, but in its place, I was building something far more beautiful. I was reclaiming my life, and I wouldn't do it alone.